my breath. He's glad that you're trying, but he doesn't expect it will ever come to fruition. What would you say to Officer Sicknick's brother and to other Americans who are wondering what this means in practical terms, if this means that Trump ever will be sworn in and compelled to talk?
Well, first, I would thank Brian, and I would thank his mom, who was there today. Mrs. Sicknick was there, and I know there were other members of the family and friends as well. And I want to thank so many of the families of officers who suffered through this, who've hung tough with us. And it means a lot to the members of the committee and to our staff. You know, but I would say this. What kind of snowflake is Donald Trump that he's willing to send hundreds and hundreds of other people to go and do his battle? And to attack police officers with Trump flags and Confederate battle flags and turn American flags into weapons. And he's very happy to do that. And he won't even come and explain himself why he thought he had a right to do that or why he thought that was the right thing to do. What is he afraid of? One thing he might be afraid of course, is that under the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, the Supreme Court has determined that in a criminal trial, the prosecutors cannot comment on someone's failure to testify, much less draw an adverse inference from it. You can't even mention it, and that's grounds for mistrial. But in a civil proceeding, the Supreme Court has found unanimously, and this is Justice Scalia's big commitment. He was the one always writing these decisions. He said, if you don't show up for a civil proceeding, it's perfectly fine for that not only to be mentioned and talked about, but used against you and to be the basis for drawing an adverse inference. So if Donald Trump wants the entire country to draw the most negative adverse inferences from his not showing up, well, he's free to do that. But at that point, also the committee can say if there are any remaining gaps or conflicts or ambiguities in the testimony, we're going to resolve it against him because, as Scalia would say, he has every incentive and motivation to show up. And if he doesn't do so, he's basically confessing. And you can say that in the civil context, whereas you could never say it in the criminal context.